know what I'm saying? If they need exceptions. All right, all ears. It's on recording.
Turbo plating. Okay.
So when it said we the people of the United States, that's the great wordplay I talk about. Because in the very second article, Article 1, Section 2, or I should say section, it talks about who are whole people. And the free person, including those bound to a service of term of years and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. So you'll hear talk about black people are 3/5 of a person. It doesn't say black people are 3/5 of a person. It says other persons. So that way, when you hear me talking about them othering people, the Constitution was broad in its hate.
Second, buddy. Fuck. This is struggling with me. Maybe because I haven't seen it in a while. Let me just refresh the whole thing.
No problem.
So this way you got test drive. So Article 1, Section 2.
Correct.
There we go. And you said third paragraph, correct?
Correct, yes.
There you go.
Where it talks about the number of free persons, including those bound to a service of, for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. That's the wordplay. It never said black people have less rights than are 3/5. It gave the free person the ability to other anybody. Black people, female persons, Irish persons, transgender persons, LGBTQ persons. So when they're talking about the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights that we have to be secure in your person, that didn't count for everyone in the United States because they were not a whole person. So that's why the United States, with its wordplay, has always been cloaked in racism, misogyny, bigotry, transphobia, homophobia. Because the free person was able to be as fascist as they wanted at the top of the system, because that's what the Constitution allowed. So that's why I don't think what our founding fathers put in was good. They did great wordplay. That's why we had to have the 14th Amendment. So T, if you want to jump to the 14th Amendment, I know it's a bit of a jump, but this is why it's relevant in today's day and age, because the 14th Amendment is what ensured that people were seen as a whole person. And that's why the wording is so important in the Constitution, what we use politically.
14th Amendment, Section 1?
Yep. All persons born or naturalized in the United States, subject to this jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. That is what made every person a whole, free person and gave them rights to life, liberty, and property. Property, not happiness, because people couldn't own, other persons couldn't own property. So the 14th Amendment made every single person in the United States whole and free. And no matter where you were from or why you were here, you still had the respect of the laws of due process. So when you hear the reporters currently talking about Donald Trump throwing, and arresting U.S. citizens or non-citizens and extracting them from the country, it's not the 4th and 5th and 6th that you hear the reporters saying. It's 14th Amendment Section 1 that guarantees their due process. 4, 5, and 6 are the means of due process. But the 14th Amendment Section 1, this is why the reporters aren't telling us the right information. And Donald Trump clearly violated his oath, which, if you want to pull up the oath, T, just so people can see it, that's Article 2, Section 1, if I remember correctly. It might be Section 2, I'm just double checking. Article 2, Section 1, the very last sentence in it, or paragraph in
Article 2, Section 1. All the way down? You said all the way to the end, right? All right. Yeah, right here.
It says before he enter on the execution of office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. And this is where no reporter held him down when he said, you have to honor the Constitution. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So if his oath is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and he's attacking it, saying America is back, there are two genders, and he can deport anyone, he's in direct violation of his oath. We should just be removing him based upon this. So
And when he said that he didn't know about the Constitution, if he's there to protect it, I don't know. Because he's a clown boy, just like his supporters.
the argument they will play is to the best of his ability. And if he doesn't have the ability to do it, that would go to the 25th Amendment and remove him. So this is why I'm trying to show people the Constitution, everything Donald Trump does and says, you relay it back to the Constitution and ask, is that legal? And the answer is no, it's not. That's why all persons born, him going after transgender in the military, it doesn't say all genders born. It doesn't say all persons who were assigned a gender at birth by a doctor based upon the rights, based upon the label assigned by the doctor, which you can never change. This is what gives you rights. It doesn't say that. So why are we allowing that in society is the question I ask. So if Donald Trump is saying transgender have to be removed from the military, direct violation of all persons born, he should be removed. Now, when it comes to the vote, I mean, I'm sort of jumping around here a little bit. I don't know if we want to go.
Remember, Money, you're driving this boat. Wherever you want to go is where I'm going.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. Let's look at the voting aspect. There will be Article 1, Section 4. And what I'm bringing up about this is when they're talking about the vote and how states are putting in parameters and they're trying to say that you need an ID to vote at state levels, so on and so forth. States only get time, place, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. But the Congress may at any time, by law, make or alter such regulations, except as to the place of choosing senators. So what this says is time, place, and manner. That's not qualifiers. Qualifiers come from the federal Constitution. And prior to the 14th Amendment, no one actually had a right to vote in the United States. It was only the free white person and the landowner. And the reason they talk about the numbers in that Article 1, Section 2, 3/5 of other persons. For every slave you had, if you had one slave, they counted as 3/5 of a vote. So if you had 50 slaves, you got an extra 30 votes.
Give me 1 second, Money. Give me 1 second. For those in the comments, I'll turn off the comments if you can't control yourself. If you can't let Money literally read this without any type of interruption from you from the comments, you will be blocked immediately. We're not here wasting our time for you to have an opinion. I didn't ask for anyone's opinion, and neither did Money or Ava or Historian. Show some respect when you're in our house because we're taking the time out to do this for you guys. Please show the same respect we're giving you. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So when they're going after the vote and they're changing that, I question, is what they're doing legal? And if states are adding these qualifiers, that's illegal. If the federal government is adding a qualifier, the only way they can do that is with a new amendment. So Trump's executive order is a violation of the Constitution. So the voting rights. Prior to the 14th Amendment and all persons born having rights, only the white man got to vote, and usually the landowners. So no one had a vote. We were not a democracy. We were an authoritarianism, autocracy. 14th Amendment. If you want to scroll to 14th Amendment, Section 2T.
Gotcha. Come on. All right. It's not easy to do on a tablet than it is a laptop. 14th Amendment, Section 2.
Section 2. Yeah. So this is just where it gives male citizens being 21 years of age, the right to vote, and shall not be abridged, except for participation in rebellion or other crime. The base of representation therein shall be reduced to the proportion which number of male citizens shall bear the whole number of male citizens. The whole number of male citizens, 21 years of age, in such state. So this is where, for the first time in the Constitution, they introduced the word male, gender. And they gave it to male citizens 21 plus. Now, logic would say, when I was reading this, well, all men got the right to vote. All persons born have the same rights. So clearly, black people, black men got the right to vote in 1868. But they didn't. So I started wondering, how come? And then you get to the 15th Amendment, which is the right to vote as well. So if you scroll to the 15th Amendment, T, when they wrote the word male in the 14th Amendment, they meant white male. And how do we know this? Because why do we have the 15th Amendment? The right of citizens of the United States to vote should not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So why do we need an amendment to say male means male, not white man? Now, in 1870, did black men get the right to vote? No. If you remember, poll tax, where states, what we're doing right now, added additional qualifiers, and they added a poll tax. So T, if you scroll all the way to the 24th Amendment, the 24th Amendment is what gives the right of the citizens to vote and cannot be denied or abridged. Let's see here, shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay poll tax or other tax. So if you owe taxes, or they add a poll tax or an expense to vote, that is illegal, according to the 24th Amendment. That's 1964. That coincides with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, where we suddenly gave people the rights. But why did we need that? It's because we didn't honor the Constitution. We allowed states.
May I add in, money?
Please, jump in.
Just bear in mind, Trump just tried to sign an executive order to undo what? That section right there. Just so you know, just for informational purposes. He tried to undo this portion of the Civil Rights Act that is embodied right here in Section 1. Just so you know. But go ahead, money.
But that's also what I'm pointing out. An act doesn't supersede the Constitution. We didn't actually need a Civil Rights Act. We needed to honor the Constitution. And we keep giving passes to white men because from 1868 all the way to 1964, we violated citizens' right to vote. Because states, like I mentioned, Article 1, Section 4, time, place, and manner, they added qualifiers. The federal government never said to the state, that's not legal. Instead, they gave them a pass for 100 years or 96 years. And then they wrote another amendment, and then they wrote an act to try to give themselves a pass. And we did. We gave them all a pass for it. And that's the problem with us. We don't hold our politicians accountable. Now, when women say the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote, because 14th Amendment said male, 19th Amendment, if you scroll to it, and this flabbergasted me when I read it because I always thought it gave women the right to vote. The right of citizens of the United States to vote should not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Ensuring that a transgender person, LGBTQ, any person who's a citizen of the United States has the right to vote. And that is why I say the Constitution is a non-binary document. Rights are never based upon gender or labels. Rights are based upon you being a United States citizen and having a right to vote.
I apologize, Money. 1 second. Amanda, anyone that says anything like that, just block and boot them. Just get them out of here. Anyone who's going to be disrespectful and keep talking this shit, just, I don't care if they're friendly or not. Block and boot. You got the green light. Thank you. Thank you, Buttercup. Go ahead, Money. I'm sorry.
No stress. I don't even pay attention to the comments, people. So if you're trying to comment at me either, it's a waste because I'm not going to see it. So, but what I'm trying to explain is we've never allowed the federal government at the federal level has never held states accountable to this document of the Constitution. And that's why we're so far gone. Because we've allowed the Constitution to constantly never be enforced. And then even when we do have a little bit of uproar, they write it down, but they never enforce it again. That's why we still have gerrymandering. That's why we still have all these problems in the US when it comes to our vote. So that's why Donald Trump is a concern, especially with going after the 14th Amendment. The first thing he did, you notice that removes all persons born and it removes the right to vote. Now we're just back to our founding fathers and the first 10 amendments, essentially, where people are 3/5 of a person. This is why Trump is so dangerous to the integrity of the United States and the Constitution. So that's sort of a bit of what's going on there. Do you want me to start breaking down sort of the different articles of what they do, the jobs, or do we want to explain a little bit more of when Donald Trump says he can control the purse strings? Article 1, Section 9 says differently.
I'm sorry. Well, what is it?
Article 1, Section 9. That gives the power of the purse strings to Congress.
Well, Money, I have a suggestion, and if you could just try to
Please.
emphasize, how about we go through the major things that he's doing and why it's a violation of the Constitution? I think that maybe if we discuss some of the things that he's been doing, that perhaps people will be able to connect the dots a little bit better in real time to which clause and he's violating. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay.
That's why I went through some of it. Now, on that topic, since you got Article 1, Section 9 there, if you scroll down.
Oh, wait, I see Article 7.
Article 1, Section 9.
Article 1, I apologize.
Okay.
If you scroll down to about the 12th paragraph, you'll see it says to raise and support armies. That's the formation of the United States Army. So when Donald Trump's saying he wants a military parade for the 250-year celebration of the U.S. Army, the U.S. Army wasn't founded until 1787, ratified 1789.
Yeah, I'm trying to blow this up so everyone can see it.
So that's a talking point right now. When Donald Trump says 250-year celebration of the United States military, no, that's 250 years of the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah, it is.
So United States the Constitution was signed 1787, ratified 1789. Article 1, Section 9 says the Army is to be granted. The next one is to provide and maintain a Navy. So the United States Army wasn't formed until 1789. So that would mean the 250-year anniversary would be 2039. But you notice no reporter has called Trump out on that?
I'm wondering if they know, to be honest with you.
Math isn't difficult.
I used to think that, Money. But in the age of Trump, I'm not so sure.
So they're basing that off 1776. So that's how we prevent Donald Trump having a military parade next year for the 250-year anniversary. That's 250 years. That's a celebration of treason?
Sure is. I got one for your Money. I'm looking at some of these executive orders. If you could explain to people why some of these things are in violation of the Constitution, I'd really appreciate it. Okay. The one that he signed.
Just remember, guys, whatever you're going to read,
tell you,
to let me know. Okay, thank you. You're driving the bus. I just need to know where to go.
Okay. So even within this executive order to get rid of the Department of Education, right? It states in this executive order that the Congress created the Department of Education in 1979 under Jimmy Carter. Okay? So it was created by an act of Congress in 1979.
Where is the Department of Education mentioned?
It's not, but who actually created it? It was Congress. But he's undoing it by executive order. So why is that a problem?
Because Congress controls the purse strings and he doesn't have authority over Congress. He can't pass a law or a bill. All he gets to do is sign a bill or not sign a bill.
Exactly.
He doesn't present bills. He signs them or he doesn't sign them and then he goes to the Supreme Court. Donald Trump is not a policymaker.
So why? I mean, because he's in violation of the Constitution because Congress shall make the laws.
Correct. They're in control
Mhm.
of the purse strings.
Yep.
Article 1.
Oh, that's one violation. I mean, so consolidation of procurement. So here, this is the Administrative Services Act, 40 USC 101, that gives the federal government the General Service Administration that was established in 1949 through the Federal Property Administrative Service Act. And so he's saying that he wants to consolidate all of this, right? He wants to return it to the the original purpose, rather than continuing to have multiple agencies. So he wants to consolidate domestic federal procurement, right? So it was established under the United States Code. And he's saying that he wants to take all of the divisions and consolidate them, take all the money that's appropriated to all those different divisions and put it all together underneath one agency.
Yeah. And that's not correct. Article 1, Section 8 would deny that.
Here's the question, Money. All executive orders, the executive orders that he passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to bring them up and go one by one. Let me rephrase the question. The executive orders that he signed, if we go one by one, how many offhand would you say are unconstitutional?
Every single one of them.
All of them.
Even in the phraseology of them, because he talks about America and American, and then you go to the bill and it's United States. So it's already a con with just the title.
Mm-hmm.
The title of his EOs are unconstitutional. The
Now tell
body
me-
of them is unconstitutional.
Then now
Yeah,
tell
I
me,
wanna-
is it okay?
Yeah, because there's a lot of questions in the comments. I mean, unless you have questions, Ava, I'll wait. I mean, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm going through these executive orders. Not
Oh,
all
okay,
of them,
okay,
because there's too
okay.
many of them. But in this actual order, he says here, this order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. But why is that a problem, Mike?
I mean, it's all on Congress. Article
Yes.
1, Section 8, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, impose and excise, to pay the
And
debts,
one
provide for the common
thing,
defense.
just so you guys, because I'm reading the comments as you guys go, but just remember, people have books and they're trying to go back and forth to the pages that you guys are reading. You
Oh,
guys are
I'm
going a
saying.
little bit too fast. So if you
All
can
right, I didn't
slow
mean to do
down a
that.
little bit,
Gotcha.
I'm
Sorry
sure they
about
would
that.
appreciate it. And Bruce, if you can go into the request box, I'm sure you have a question. Once Ava's done, you'll be my first guest for a question, Bruce. If
So
you
And there's
can.
no way. Huh?
Ava and T, most of Donald Trump's executive orders, if you go to Article 1, Section 8, the very start of it, Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, impose and excise to pay the debts. The next one, to borrow money on the credit of the United States.
Remember, if we're going, hang on, we got to give people a second.
No, I will. I'm going to go back over them here as well.
So our
Article 1, Section 8.
Yep, right there.
Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes. The very first line. The second paragraph, to borrow money on the credit of the United States. Well, Donald Trump is appearing to try to do that. The third one, which is also one of the most important when it comes to tariffs, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. It's not Donald Trump's job to put on tariffs. No tariff he implements is legal, according to Article 1, Section 8. Unless Congress signs for that tariff to go into effect. Donald Trump's just spouting, and the fact that we're allowing him to do that means that Congress isn't doing their job at all. Article 1 is Congress's job. So everything we're saying is Congress not doing their job. But Ava, do you want to add into that? I mean, that clearly states to regulate commerce with foreign nations.
For instance, the first executive order he did on tariffs was against countries importing Venezuelan oil. Now, just discounting the fact that the whole premise for him, that he cites these gangs in this executive order, that entire premise has been obliterated by his own investigators within his administration that said they found no evidence that Venezuela was sending gang members over into the United States. So that was the baseline that he used for the executive order in the first damn place. But we've already, that it actually came out yesterday,
Give me
right?
one
And he
second, Eva.
also,
I apologize. For those that are having a really hard time keeping up, I'm recording the whole thing. It will be on YouTube. After we're done here, I will upload it myself. I promise. Sorry, go ahead,
so
Eva.
it's okay. So he also invoked the Alien Enemies Act in this executive order, which the courts told him he cannot actually use. And so if he still has this tariff in effect, because that deals with Venezuelan oil, he invoked the Alien Enemies Act. The court said he didn't have justification to invoke it. And if the tariffs are still being applied, money, what is he in violation of? I know you already mentioned that first one, but he's also, if I had to guess, this is a violation of the co-equal branches of government and the balance of power.
Correct. That's what I'm pointing out. Everything Donald Trump is doing is not his job. Even the next line, if you look at the fourth paragraph there in Section 8, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. Naturalization. Donald Trump is the one saying whether people can have a passport or not. He can sell passports. He's selling a $5 million Trump card. That's a direct violation of Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 4, Section 4.
Can we block and boot Nelson, please?
So, like, literally, as you read through the Constitution, every single thing he's doing is Congress's job, and they're allowing him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say I've got the problem with Congress. Democrats are allowing this. Republicans are allowing it. Independents are allowing it. And right here in the first just 4 paragraphs of Article 1, Section 8 gets rid of 90% of Trump's executive orders, proving they're illegal.
Yep. Now, who gives clearance money?
What type of clearance?
Like security clearances.
But that's not really discussed in the Constitution.
Right.
Or wouldn't that
Some
be
other
up to
aspect.
Congress?
Okay, I think it would
More
be.
than likely, it would be up to Congress, yes.
It would be up to Congress. So this is an executive order where he actually wrote an order to direct the DOJ to take away security clearances of law firms, he says, engaged in what he calls lawfare. Okay? So he directed the people, the Attorney General and the DNI to deny the clearance and then take the OMB, which is the Office of Management and Budget, that he also ordered that they take away anything that has been granted to them to actually conduct any investigations with the clearance. He also covers, he's stopping the transfer of taxpayer dollars to contractors, right? And this is what he says it's due to. If they are not aligned with American interest money, I don't know if you read this. In the executive order, he wants to stop the transfer of taxpayer dollars to contractors whose activities are not aligned with American interests, including racial discrimination, government contracting agency staff to the extent permissible, require the government contractors to disclose any business that they do with Jenner, that's the law firm, and whether that business is related to government contract. And I know you already know what the problem with that is, so go ahead.
Well, again, the problem is that's not his job.
No, and it's American interest as well.
Correct. There's no such thing.
Exactly.
This is the phraseology of what they're doing. In Trump's America, he can deport U.S. citizens. Yes, it's not Trump's America, though. It's our United States. Reporters are giving him the United States constantly and calling it his America. Was it Obama's America? Was it Biden's United States?
Mm-hmm.
This is Trump's America. And that's why Article 1, Section 8 is so important, because it literally debunks most of the things Donald Trump is trying to do right now. Even when it says to establish a post office, scrolling down, it's a little further on Section 8. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th paragraph down. To establish post offices and post roads. Post office. Donald Trump's dismantling the post office, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He did it last time he was in power and they allowed him.
Yeah.
Congress has not been doing anything. They've just been allowing their entire job. They're just allowing Donald Trump to walk all over them. The next aspect, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors of exclusive rights to their writings, to their respective writings and discoveries. That's the patent office. But to promote the progress of science and useful arts. It's part of the job as well.
Right. I don't know if you've heard of this one, Money. This one is called, I don't know if you guys ever gone through these executive orders, but there's some wild shit in here. This one's
Mm-hmm.
called Establishing the United States Investment Accelerator, right? So,
Again, Article 1, Section 8, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes and duties, not Donald Trump.
mm-hmm.
He can't write an executive order that changes the laws.
And he's establishing an office within the Department of Commerce through executive order.
Yeah, and you would go to, that's Congress again, Article 1, Section 8, I think it's paragraph 9, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. They're the ones who get to create departments and also have inferior to the Supreme Court, other tribunals. Inferior, but can still call out the Supreme Court. Inferior doesn't mean that they're less than. It just means they can make a ruling and they can audit the Supreme Court and then give that to Congress. And then Congress can say, based upon what the lower courts have found, the Supreme Court, these justices are violating the Constitution. And based upon things, we can remove them.
And he also, in addition to that, in this same executive order, this investment accelerator, this is him creating a department that is going to be responsible for Joe Biden's CHIPS program. Okay, so he's taking the money that's appropriated under the CHIPS Act and put it underneath a department that he just invented without going through Congress. You can't make this stuff up. You can go look it up for yourself, guys. This is the stuff that the new. I didn't hear the news cover this.
Nope.
But this is what he's doing because he's signed so many. He's flooded us. But yes, he can't create departments and agencies either. Not with appropriated money.
And not related, Dave, but when I tell you that I am fed up with Congress, the House and the Senate on both sides, I mean it. Because there are things that are going on and no one is saying anything about it.
Yeah. I didn't know. I know people had not heard about that, but because he's actually doing so much all at once in this constant chaos, a lot of this stuff slips through the cracks, and we don't even see what he's doing.
So for people wondering as well, the exact letter of the law, and that is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, the last clause of Article 1, Section 8, which is what gives the Congress the ability to create new governmental departments. And again, Article 1 is Congress. Article 2 is executive. This is not Donald Trump's job. So literally Article 1, Section 8 will debunk 90% of Donald Trump's executive orders. The other 10% are Article 3, Section 3, treason to the United States. Or you can add in Article 2, Section 1, oath violations. But what is another aspect, another executive order? T, if you've got a question there.
No, I do not have a question. I was just showing people where you were at.
He actually has an executive order that reforms foreign defense sales.
Historian, do you have a question?
Yeah, don't let me do all the talking. If you got something to say.
Not yet. I'm still following in my book. Not right there. I mean, y'all keep saying we mad at Congress. We should be mad at people who voted them in that aren't calling their Congress. My Congress is a Democrat in my area. So they've been raising him. Huh?
I still call them all.
I mean, I still
Democrat,
call
Republican.
They can write up papers all they want to, but they're still not the majority.
You don't have to be the majority to call out illegality. It only takes one.
But my thing is, when they call out the legality, will the other people fall in line, the Republicans, to say, hey, yeah, that's correct?
Keep sharing.
women in the comments are thinking the same thing I'm doing. Like, we've been trying, but you know, that other side.
It's not your job right now. And I'm exposing what the white people have done behind the scenes, make it seem like they're giving rights, but the wordplay is actually what's restricting it, or the lack of honoring the words in the Constitution, because they distract us with emotional aspects.
Right.
And Tim, you
I'm
got me
not
the
disagreeing.
security clearance because you guys were talking about it.
Mhm.
Hang on. All right, I gotta adjust it. I'll get to that. We'll go through that later. Whenever you're ready for the security clearance, you let me know. I'll go ahead and I just need to adjust the size of it. That's all.
You got to say something here, Stern, because if you leave it up to me and money, we don't never stop talking.
Yeah,
We
they'll just go right by it. They love to talk. They'll just go right by it, and you guys are like, wait, where are you? You gotta speak up.
I don't have my headphones on, and I am working. I should be done in the next 30 minutes, and then I'll be able
You do your thing. No worries.
I'll be done in 10. So I'm counting too because I've been in front of this damn desk since 6 o'clock. But you know what,
But
money?
Ava, so what you're saying, that goes back to Article 1, Section 8 again, Paragraph 3, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes.
Right.
Donald Trump is violating Article 1, Paragraph 3. Like, it's the
So,
same things he keeps violating. I'm not
Yeah,
like
that's what I was about to
it's
say.
just constant.
I was about to say it seems like that his violations are pretty concentrated with the power of the purse, undoing acts through executive order, and inventing agencies and departments without going through Congress.
And
It seems like
creating and naturalization laws and denaturalization laws.
right.
What is it going after? The 14th Amendment in a roundabout way.
Which is precisely why in his little Trump Bible, that when he puts the Constitution in the back, it stops at the 10th Amendment. Everything past the 10th Amendment is missing.
It's because without the 14th Amendment, we're a fascist nation. Straight up fascism. Without the 14th Amendment, that's why he attacked it so hard. Because the 14th Amendment is also the 10th Amendment is states' rights.
Okay. So he kept that in. That's where he cut it off. And everything after the 10th Amendment is gone.
Correct. And that's where, without people having rights and people being 3/5 of a person, a state could say, we want slaves. And the people of the state under the 9th Amendment right could go, we agree and we want to vote for that. And that's how we got slavery. That's where we had to ensure all persons born had the same rights. And everyone in the Union of States had to agree to that.
Right. Yeah. I remember in a speech he made, he said that we were at our best in the late 1700s. He literally said that this country was at its peak in the late 1700s. And ironically, money, the 10th Amendment was ratified in 1791. The 10th Amendment.
Correct, because the articles were written first, which was what the government is to do, the role of the government. And then the amendments, the Bill of Rights, were like, oh shit, we better make sure that we give the citizens some protection from us. But then they also reminded, again, I won't get too much into it, the First Amendment, your right to peaceably assemble, but then they remind you with the Second Amendment, if you violate that, they have the right to rebel, the insurrection.
Right. But you know what came right after that, money, after 1791, was the Alien Enemies Act, which was in 1798. And he wants to stop there because all of the amendments that come after the 10th Amendment are the amendments that make the Alien Enemies Act unconstitutional. And you don't include those other ones.
When was the 14th Amendment written, Money?
1868.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just, if you could expound on that one, that basically the Alien Enemies Act was not unconstitutional until the amendments that came after the 10th Amendment.
Correct. The Aliens Enemies Act worked correctly back in the 1700s. But the moment the 14th Amendment was written in, that gave nor denied to any person with this jurisdiction equal protection of the laws, that nullified the Enemies Alien Act. However, the problem is we use that to lock up Japanese U.S. citizens and take their land.
Yep.
Because we've never held our politicians accountable. So when we've given them a pass in the past to violate the Constitution and abuse citizens, Donald Trump and people like that see that and they know the playbook. which is why the wordplay is so important.
So I think I pretty much, I'm not going to go through any of the other executive orders because it seems like they all have him violating a particular
But
set.
Well,
you can bring it up though. We'll just again, even
but
if it's repeating the same thing.
yeah, but
Hmm.
maybe now's not the right. I agree with it. Maybe now's not the right time to do it. If you're in the comments and you have a question, I'll do one at a time as long as we can keep it not out of my hand.
And can we try to keep it at a 2 minute limit?
Yes.
Because yeah, so we don't have
Yes.
people
No.
sitting up there.
And honestly, I don't want chit chat. Just make sure if you have a question, just ask your question.
So you can go back to where you were, Money. I just thought it might have been interesting to kind of like make the correlation exactly what he's violating, but his existence is a violation. Um, so
Well, the tool people can look for is Article 1, Section 8. When Trump says something or an executive order, ask, is it legal? And you go to Article 1, Section 8, and you
sorry.
go, no, it's not.
Oh, I had the invites off. Give me 1 second. My apologies.
Like, if you also, another one is Article 1, Section 9 is very important as well.
There you go. You guys should be able to request now. My apologies.
So Article 1, Section 9, the reason the Enemies Alien Act was also put in is because of Article 1, Section 9. If you scroll to that, are you at that, the very first paragraph?
I was in my settings. Which area?
Article 1, Section 9.
Powers, right?
Yep. So one of the reasons this is also what gave states or the US the authority to go and take anyone from anywhere or invite anyone, but also restrict the migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, 1808. But a tax or a duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person. So that's the legalization of slavery. Then you could have a $10 tax per person being brought in. And it didn't say that they had to be naturalized. It just said you could go bring people into the nation, pretty much to help you build your area. Or you can invite people from other areas. And then if you wanted, you could probably give them freedom. So Article 1, Section 9 is quite important as well in the role of how the US has been historically quite bad, but great with wordplay. And if you scroll down a bit more, when people talk about Trump being, Article 1, Section 9 breaks through them all here as well. Even Section 5, no tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. So that means that we can't have import-export taxes between different states. There's a free flow of commerce among all the states. But Section 8 is no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States. And no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or sovereign state. How many times is Trump doing this? He's getting paid to have Saudi golf events at his golf course, and he goes and hangs out and meets with them, and they pay to stay at his properties. That's a foreign state. He's accepting it. He called himself a king. No title of nobility shall be granted. So Article 1, Section 8 and Section 9 pretty much outlay everything Trump's doing is violating Congress, and Congress are taking it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my concern. Why are Congress taking it? Because we don't know our Constitution. Congress doesn't know the Constitution, and we're not holding them accountable to it. But everything Donald Trump is doing is a violation of the Constitution. But Ava Ortiz, historian, do you have any questions? Because you know me, I can ramble on and jump around the place, but I want to try to keep organized.
You're good, Money. I'm hoping the people that we're doing this for, don't be embarrassed if you have a question. This is all a learning process. We're not going to judge you if you're not sure what certain things are called. We're here to help you. I don't know everything. God knows that. My dyslexia half the time kicks in, and I can't stay focused on what money's saying. Trust me, I understand. So don't be embarrassed to say something. It's okay.
And I can admit, I'm annoyed that I'm glad that we're doing this right now because I'm annoyed I forgot to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states. Every tariff Trump is doing is a violation of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3.
Mhm.
Everything. He cannot impose tariffs. It says it
Why
right
are they
there.
letting him? Why are they? But here's the thing, Money. If Congress refuses to remove him when he's clearly violating the Constitution, then they're also in violation of their
Correct.
own oath.
And then Supreme Court is upholding it. And that's why I've asked Papa Storm before, when is our fourth branch, the stopgap, need to step in? But that's our military with Hegseth over them.
So I have a question.
Okay, Tammy.
I have a question. My name not Tammy.
No. She sent me an email, and I said, "Okay, Tammy." Not you. No, you go ahead. I don't have you speak your mind. You don't need my permission.
Okay, so if he can't impose the tariff, who's is actually imposing a tariff, and do they have to follow his law?
According to what I've just read and seen, no.
So why are
His
they
tariffs
doing
aren't his tariffs aren't because we believe that women have different rights, and so we pass laws that violate them because we haven't sat down and read it in a while. Like I'm annoyed at myself for forgetting that part.
So my question is, who actually collects the tariff money, or how can I ask this? Who's actually going to be saying, "Hey, we need to impose these tariffs"? Is it the people at the customs mark that say, "Hey,
Customs levies them. Yeah.
okay,
Correct.
And they're all in violation of a law as well because they're following unlawful orders.
okay"? So they really don't have to do it. They can just
No.
say, "Hey, this is not legal. We're going to do the
No.
regular tariffs."
They don't have to. No.
So all of this is fucking self-imposed because we haven't read the Constitution, and neither has Congress. They just get sworn in it.
Yep. It's
Correct.
performative.
Yes, because
Everything.
if you haven't noticed, when they're actually in Congress and they're reading the Constitution, they literally have it in their hands because they don't know it as well as money does. They literally got to read it and they're stumbling over the words. It's like me reading the Constitution because I'll stumble over it.
These people who say that they're true constitutionalists, like Amy Coney Barrett, who wouldn't even be on the Supreme Court because it really didn't include her. Why aren't they saying anything? I mean, they should take them to court and say, according to this, it's unlawful.
That's what
Well,
I said. Why
you know
isn't
what?
the Supreme Court saying something? That's
Look
what I said.
look no further than the plane rides over Russia, the luxury cruises, the purchase of RVs, the gifts,
I
the
understand, but there
donations.
are three powerful women on that bench that we haven't really heard from.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're at the final stage. They never want people to have rights.
The
And
final.
to give people rights, how do you fix it? You have to give women rights and transgender rights, you have to say all persons born have had the same rights since 1868. And then people realize we've been grifted for 170 years.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Money. Hang on. They're connecting. 1 second. Welcome up. Did you have a question for the panel? Hello. Okay. Give you two chances. Go ahead. My apologies.
Oh, no, I just keep exposing. To fix the problem, you have to admit you were part of it. When has a politician ever said America's not a country and people have rights?
Mm-hmm.
What have they pushed? America and gender rights. They've signed bills into law about transgender and protecting them. Why? They already have the same rights.